Welcome back to part 2. Let's jump straight in. So welcome back to part 2. This is what we have so far. So the weaves come up the sides, and I'm going to stop here because when we add the stone we need to work out whereabouts we need these to join. Is it going to be here? Do we need to make it a little bit longer? So I'm going to cut this weaving wire. I think I'm going to leave about 12 inches still attached there. So what we'll start with today is we'll wrap our small stone, and then we can get that in position and see where we go from there. So take your smaller wires. These are 0.6, which is 22 gauge, and I've cut 4 lengths at 6 inches, which is 15 centimeters. Find the middle of those wires. We'll start weaving there at the middle just to join them together. So take your weaving wire and we'll wrap 3 times around that bottom wire. So we'll wrap around the bottom 2, come up between those 2 wires, wrap around the middle 2, come up between those 2 wires, go around the top 2, come up between those 2 wires, go around the top wire, coming up between the middle 2, go around the 3rd wire, coming up between the bottom 2, go around the 2nd wire, go around the bottom wire. So that's 1 repeat. Got quite a fine little weave across these so that we can tie all those wires together nice and securely. So we'll do that weave a few more times so they're definitely held in place. So you go around 2 wires all the way up, coming up between them, and then on the way back down you go around each wire. I'll do 1 more repeat and then we'll finish with 3 wraps around the bottom wire. You have to bear in mind as well that these wires are so thin that they bend easily, so we've got to be really gentle with these. Be really careful. Cut that weaving wire at both ends. Press down your little cut ends with pliers. And then looking at your stone, we need to bend this around the stone. So just have another look at your weave and make sure it is central along those wires. I've pushed it along a little bit. I think that's more central. And we're going to bend the wire. So you want it to go around the shape of your stone. And these wires do bend very easily, so be patient with it. So you want to bring the wires ideally centrally around the stone. So pull your wires around the best you can. And then where they meet at the top, I like to grip and wiggle the pliers. That gives me a little mark where I need to bend them. You need to focus here on not letting the wires cross over each other. Really keep an eye on those, that they don't cross over each other. Just look over your shape and make sure it definitely fits. And when you're happy with that shape, looking at your top wires, holding them the best you can, we'll just pull them apart a little bit so we can see they're not going to cross over, and this side too. And then take your weaving wire and we'll attach the wires at the top there. So make sure that they're not crossing over each other. This is your last time to check. And we're going to take a back wire and we'll wrap 3 times around that wire. So wrap 3 times around that back wire, slide it down so you're next to where the wires join. So Gracie's snoring her head off. And then carefully wrap around all of the wires. I'm just checking they're all flat. So we go around the whole thing, so we're pulling them together. I've gone around like 7 times or something. Then we need to find that back wire again. Find your back wire, and we'll wrap a few times around that wire to hold that middle wrap in place. It is so tiny, and we need to cut that little tail end off. So pop your stone back in, make sure it still fits, maybe a bit of a wriggle to get in. We'll turn to the back first. So then looking at those 2 back wires, we're going to just grab that wire and bend it over the back of the stone. I can't grab it. Got it. Over the back of the stone. Press it against the stone. I held the top to try and keep it in place as I did so. Then we'll take the other side. Stone's jumped out. I'm leaving all these mistakes in so you can see that not everybody's perfect, and I do make a lot of mistakes myself. Bend it, push it in against the stone. Right, turn it over. We'll do the same on the front. So grab that front wire, sort of close to the bottom there, holding the wire in place a little bit further up. We're going to twist it, not twisting it as much as the back, so it's a bit tidier on the front. Press it too. Oh, I do feel like I'm talking a lot today. On this side too, grip the wire, try and match up the heights. Holding the wire here a bit further up, give it a twist, a little bit, and then press it against the stone. So that's our little stone held in place. Something else we can do, we can part these middle wires a little bit. Just make sure it's all really pressed into the stone. So looking at these upper wires, we're going to take the 2 back wires, both sides, and bend them out to the sides. So now what we're going to do is these front wires, the wires that are going straight up, I'm going to bring them to the front. So we've got 2 on one side and 2 on the other. And then these wires at the sides, we've got 2 on one side and 2 on the other. Yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the front facing wires through the front, and the 2 wires that go out to the sides are at the back. Can you see that? So that's where I'm going to fit it. I'm going to wrap these outer wires around the weave wires, and I would prefer them to be bare than to be covered in weave when I wrap around them. And we need to get it nice and straight too as we do. So I think, looking at your piece, make sure you've got enough height here. This gap between the stone and the weave needs to be big enough to fit this stone in. You don't want it pressing against, and you don't want it coming over the front. You want a nice gap between the stone and the stone, the moon and the little stone. So what I'm going to do is, looking at the, oops, I've got a weaving wire attached to that one. Looking at these, make sure your weaves are really pushed down. They're coming up nice and centrally. You know where you want them to be. We can give that a pull so it's nice and tight and cut those off. Cut both of those. So when you've worked out your height and your weaves, you cut all your wires. I need my wires to come to there. We're then going to bend the wires up. So they're now on top of the front wires are on top of the back wires like that. And we'll attach it all together here. So we need the weaving wire. This, you can cut this off here. We're not going to use that. So cut your weaving wire off your little piece. And I'm going to wrap around one of these back wires to attach. So I've wrapped 3 times. Side it down to where the wires are now going to meet. And we wrap around the whole thing. Now you don't want them to cross over each other, so it's best to try and let's spread them out a bit first. And then I'll attach them together, then I can see what I've got. Still wrapping around that back wire. Slide it down to where they meet. Go around the whole thing. Again, I've gone 7 times. Pick out a back wire. And we'll wrap a few times around that one to attach. Now we're making progress. Cut that little tail end there. Look at your wires and sort them out. So we've got 2 outer each side, and then we've got the 4 inner wires. Right, and then going back to this middle section here, we'll pop those front wires through the foot to the front, get it up in place. Make sure you've still got all that room that you had before. Mine's a little bit closer. And we'll wrap around the wires to attach. So you really need to hold that stone nice and straight. I'm going to pull these wires forward, out the way. And we're going to scoop these wires around and through the middle there, both sides. Try and keep it as high up as you can and try and keep it nice and central, and we'll wriggle those wires around. Really pull them around, give it a squeeze when they're around so they're in place. We'll attach the other side the same. Pull them around, give it a squeeze, and then I'm going to bring it up like that. So when you're happy with that, if it feels pretty solid, you could leave it as it is. Mine's a little bit wobbly. I'm just going to take the one wire around again. So I'm going to take the top wire around again, and then we can cut those wires off. Oh, she is snoring so loud. It's a happy pug. So take the top wire around again, and we can cut those wires. Squeeze them in place so it's all nice and solid, and we can cut those across the back. Because I've got a bit of room there, I think I'm going to cut them to the front, and then we won't have any sharp bits to the back. So cut them off and press them down. Make sure your stone is fitted nice and solid and it's central. Next we're going to weave a bail, so we want the two right wires to be out the way on both sides. Let's have a look what's going on. Those two. So we've got 4 wires standing straight up, and that's going to be our bail. So bring your wire up between these two. So we're just weaving across the top 4 now. So you want to look at your wires. You want them to make this nice wide V shape. I think I'm going to have them just a little bit closer. So weaving across these 4, and I'm going to number them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've come up between 1 and 2. And we're going to wrap a couple of times around the second wire. Right, okay, so we'll come underneath the bottom wire, and we'll go 2 wraps around both wires, come up between those 2, and then we go 2 wraps around the second wire. And that's the little repeat we're going to keep doing. So we go over the middle gap, over the 3rd wire, and we wrap twice around the 3rd wire, twice around both wires, twice around the 3rd wire, and then we come back over that middle gap and go over the 2nd wire, and you must keep pushing it down between each repeat as you go. And then we do that same little repeat on this side, so we go twice around the second wire, twice around 2 wires, twice around the second wire, hold on, did you get it? So then we go over the middle gap, so we go over the third wire, then we do the same repeat on that side, and we're going to keep repeating that weave a little bit further. We'll do about 1 centimetre of that weave. So I've kept repeating that weave, and you must keep pushing it down as you go. Take care not to pull the wires in together too. We've done about 2 centimetres if you count it from the bottom there. So about 1.5 centimetres of the actual weave, bit more, maybe 2, let's say 2. So now I'm going to bring the 2 wires from the sides up, and I'm going to join them into the weave just briefly, just for a couple of repeats, and I want them to sit nicely next to each other. So on this side, just for a couple of repeats, we'll add these wires, so we'll just do it different just for a little bit. So I've gone over the middle and I've gone over that wire. Okay, so now we're going over to the other side. So we do the same middle repeat. We go twice around the inner wire, twice around the 2, then we come up between those 2, and we'll go around. If we're looking at these wires as if there's 4, and I'll count the bottom one, 1, 2, 3, 4, we wrap around the middle 2, so that's the second and the third, come up again between the bottom 2, wrap around all top 3, come up again between the bottom 2, wrap around 2 wires, so you're going around the second and the third again, and then go around the bottom 2. So we've done like that little weave that we did over the 4 wires coming up the sides. Push it together. I like to flatten mine. If you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry. It just holds it together there. Then we come over to this side and we do the same thing. So we're going over this wire. So now we're working over the 4 wires on this side, just for the 1 repeat, just to tie those wires in. So we go twice around the inner wire, then we're doing the same repeat as the other side. I did 2 wraps on one side and 1 on the other. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to do 2. So I've gone around twice and then I'm coming up in between. So we go around the middle 2, come up between those 2 wires again, go around the bottom 3 wires this time, come up again in that same place, go around the middle 2 wires, and then we go around the upper 2 wires. I'm going to do it twice, I only did it once on the other side, and then wrap around that inner wire a couple of times. So we've got to join. So now we're going to shape our wires. So leaving out the outer 2 again. So we're not bending the outer 2, we're leaving those where they are. We're going to take the inner 2 wires, holding this here so you don't squash the weave, and bending those 2 wires in. Same on this side. Take the 2 wires, bend them over that way. Kind of want it, you want like a diamond shape, but you kind of want it even to the bottom, so you want this kind of size like that. And then where those wires cross there, we can bend them back out and part them, so we've got the 4 middle wires there. So now we're going to continue weaving just across the middle 4 wires. We're completely ignoring these outer ones. So as you weave this last part of the bail, it'll keep trying to slide up, but because we've got a nice bit of weave on each side, we should be alright. I'll show you. So we take the wire over the other side, we go over that inner wire, hold this side down with your thumb, so we're working this side. We're going to keep pushing it down and holding this side down. So we go twice around that inner wire, and the more wraps you do, the more it holds down better. Twice around the 2 wires, and then twice around that inner wire again, really pushing it down. Then we hold this side and we bring that wire over this side. So now we're pushing it down here and we're holding this side. We go around that inner wire twice. You can see it keeps trying to slide out of place. Go around the 2, so you're just doing the same repeat. But the more wraps you add, the easier it is to hold down. Oh, I'm definitely doing some talking in this one. So we'll still push it down as well, just to make sure. And you keep going. So now I'm holding this side and I'm working that side. Keep going till you get to the top. And don't worry if you get little gaps. If it slides up and you get a little gap between your repeats, that's fine, because this part is going to bend over to the back. It won't be as noticeable. So if you have tiny little gaps, nobody's really going to spot them. So when you get to here, we're going to add these wires in again. So holding this side, we're just going to bring those wires around to follow, and then scoop them out there, and then on this side. So hold the middle while you bend them, because you don't want to bring the wires in, because you might spoil all that lovely weave. And we'll just include them in with the same tiny little weave that we did with the other one. So I've done a little weave on both sides to tie those wires in. And then I'm just going to go back to the middle wires just to carry on to reach the top. So do whatever repeats you need, just so we can tie it up to join. So that's that. Finish there. Finish whichever side you're on with 3 wraps. That was a lot of weaving. That's our bail done. So you're going to need bail pliers. I don't think I mentioned it at the beginning. I'll add it to the other video. We haven't got far to go now. So we need to shape this bail. So with your bail pliers, you need to bend the weave over to the back, so you end up with the widest point at the top there. So we've taken the 2 outer wires out, and then the 2 lower wires, I've brought them down a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap around the middle. So I'm taking the weaving wire from the back, and I'm going to wrap around the middle section and the middle back wires. So I'm just going around, I'm leaving out these two and those two because they're too high up. And I'm just going to go around that middle. So I've gone around a few times and I'm going to finish by attaching to one of these wires here. So I'm going to add a weave to these wires. I think I was going to finish it to keep the video nice and short, but I'm going to add a weave, and this video is getting a bit long, so I might have to do a part 3. So we've added our little stone. We've kind of got the bail halfway there. And I think we'll leave it there for part 2, and we're going to come back for part 3 because it's going to be ever so long, this one. So this is the end of part 2. So far so good. Come and join me for part 3. I'll be uploading it very soon. See you soon. Bye.